Thank you guys for spending some of your afternoon with us today. Today is a library session about citation management software. I'm Heather Ayers. I'm the library director in Valparaiso. And even though I may not work at your campus, please feel free to contact me or Erin or anybody else you see in the library to ask questions. We're here to help you sort of navigate the library resources, help you with your research, and just generally answer questions for you. So if you have any questions as you go through this workshop, feel free to use the chat. I'll be watching that for Erin. And then you could also unmute yourself. We're not a big group, so unmute yourself and ask questions as we go along. There'll be plenty of time for that. Your instructor today is Erin, and I'm going to turn it over to her and let her introduce herself. If you can't make it all the way through this session, it will be recorded and sent out later this afternoon. Take it away, Erin.
Thank you, Heather. I am Erin Gabrielson. My role here at Ivy Tech Indianapolis Library is the Student Service and Information Management Librarian. But all that you need to know is that right now I'm here to talk to you about citation management. So let me grab the screen share. And let me get my slides up. Before we get going, I have a question for all of you. Let me get to the chat. I am curious to know how many of you, and I'm going to change my question a little bit. There's a quick poll. If you click on this link that I just put in the chat, I'm curious to know, while I'm getting set up, how many of you have used some citation management software? And if you see the question, it's going to be clear what those are. I've named them in the poll. But also I'm going to change that if you've even heard of it. If you've even heard of citation management software. So it says, I think some people maybe need permission. If you're not logged in with your Ivy Tech username and password, it might have you do that first. If it's not letting you in, no big deal. You can just put it in the chat. Yes, I've heard of it. No, I have no idea what this even is about today. And I'll take a look at that chat too. Let's see. Some people have heard of them. Okay, wonderful. No idea. That's okay too. I'm glad you're here. I am going to turn off my camera just so I can focus. Let's see. Back to that. So I'm going to be telling you today what citation management software is, why you might want to use it. I do want to emphasize you're not required to. This is not something that you are expected to use. These are just different types of software that might be helpful to you, whether here at Ivy Tech or if you go on and continue your studies somewhere else or not. Just something that could maybe save you a little bit of time and effort. So that's one of the things that we're going to cover today. We're also going to look at some things you might consider if you decide, you know what, this sounds really helpful. I do want to look at using some kind of citation management software. I'm going to just give you some things to think about in choosing something like that. And then I am going to do a quick demonstration of a particular software called Zotero. It's the one that I just happen to be most familiar with. So that's why that's the one I'm going to be demonstrating today. It's also free. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So these are the things I'm hoping you're going to get out of this webinar today. So we already did that quick poll. It looks like a lot of people have no idea what it is, or maybe they've vaguely heard of some of these softwares, but they're not very familiar with them, and that's great. So what does it even mean? What is this person talking about? Sometimes we call them reference management software, citation management software, bibliographic management software. It's all the same thing. The basic idea is, as you're doing research, let's say you've got a paper and you're going to need to cite sources for that paper. As you're doing your research, this software will let you collect that citation, so that you have that full citation, what you're going to put in your bibliography or your works cited at the end of that paper to say, hey, I used this source. I used their ideas. I maybe cited them or paraphrased them. I quoted them or paraphrased. It's going to store that citation information. You're not going to have to go track that source down again. It'll help you organize it. Maybe you're working on 2 papers at once. I mean, I've been there. It can get a little tricky if you've got all these different sources saved for 2 different things or 3 different things at a time. And a lot of them will actually collect the full text of the source too, so you don't have to worry about having it backed up somewhere else. You're going to have that PDF of that whole article that you know you want to use in your paper saved in this software. So they also have a lot of different features depending on which one you're looking at. The one I'm going to demonstrate, it will help you in inserting in-text citations. Excuse me. And it'll also help you then build that reference list because it's going to know what sources you cited inside your paper. And I'm going to demonstrate that. My goodness, speaking of wildfire smoke or bad air quality, it's definitely getting me today. All right, so I also want to talk a little bit before we do this demonstration about the difference between citation management software and what we might call a citation generator. These are maybe things that you have more familiarity with. So a citation generator is something like BibMe. Let me go to my internet browser here and just do a quick search for BibMe is an example of this. Basically, you would just go here, put in some information, and you can create a citation. Let's say you're citing a website. It's going to just help you put things in the right order. You can then copy and paste it. They've got this nice little video here of how to use it. And some other things, some other information on here. I could say, yep, I'm citing this book. And then it's going to give me something to fill out. I put in the information and I can have it build the citation for me. If you're interested in more things like that, and this whole citation management software seems like overkill, you could just do a Google search for citation generator and see all kinds of different options for some of those. And I'm going to make this word of warning about citation generators as well as citation management software. And that is, and I'll probably say this multiple times, that warning is that these websites or these software systems are only as good as the information that you put into them. So what I mean by that is if I go to Citation Machine and I have something wrong, or the data it's pulling from, there's something off or wrong, that citation might be wrong. I'm still going to have to keep my brain turned on and think about what it's giving me and make sure that it is in proper format. Nothing's, italicized when it shouldn't be. We all know from making APA or MLA citations, it really matters. There's a whole system that you need to follow, and you need to follow those rules so that you don't lose any points for your citations. So just a word of warning. These are great tools. They can save you time, but you still need to check what it gives you. And the same thing goes with these citation management software options that we're going to look at. But I did want to just point out, those are 2 different things. Citation generators, that's all they do is make the citation itself, and then you can copy and paste it. Which brings me to Noodle Tools. Some of you may be familiar with Noodle Tools, or maybe you've heard of that because it is linked, for instance, on our library website. I know other campus libraries have it as well. For Indianapolis, it's right here. We've got a link to Noodle Tools. And let me just open it up for you really quickly. So you can see you will need to sign in. It's something you do have to have an account. You have free access to this through Ivy Tech. But it's a little different than what we're going to look at with citation management software. It lives in between citation management software and a citation generator. So I started a project over here In fact, I believe there's a whole webinar just about Noodle Tools coming up, but I just want to point out what it does. I have preloaded some article citations in there, making up, pretending I had a paper that I was writing, and here's some of my citations, some sources that I'm going to use in that paper. I've put them in there. What's nice is I could take notes in here. The way that this is different from true citation management software, is that it doesn't plug into where I'm writing my paper. In other words, it's not going to plug into Google Docs or Microsoft Word, wherever it is that I'm actually writing working on my paper. And that's something we're going to look at, that the citation management software I'm demonstrating, Zotero. You'll notice, because I've downloaded it, I have a special thing in my Google Doc that you probably don't see unless you've also downloaded some kind of citation management software. I have an option here for Zotero. And if I go also to my Word document here, I have a tab that you most likely don't, unless you've put Zotero plugin on there. I have a Zotero tab when I'm in Word. So Noodle Tools can't do this. It can't then put that information into a Word document or into a Google Doc for you. So just a little, a little mention of Noodle Tools. It's not quite the same thing, but it can be a really great thing to use. Again, if citation management software just seems to be a little bit too much for what you need. Maybe it's just not a great time for you to learn a new software, and I completely understand that. So check out Noodle Tools if you're looking for something in between a generator and one of these different types of software. So how would you even choose what to use? I am demonstrating Zotero. Again, I'm just doing that because it's the one I'm most comfortable with, but I really want to emphasize that this is a personal choice. You are not required, again, you are not required to use citation management software at Ivy Tech. And you may like the idea and then not know which one to try out. That's also really personal. So some people like the layout of EndNote Basic, which is free. Some people like Mendeley better. These are just other examples. And I happen to like Zotero. That's just what I'm used to. And sometimes it's nice just to go with what you're comfortable with. So this is probably the one of the few times that I, as a librarian, will tell you to start at Wikipedia for something. Usually we discourage starting there. If you just need to fill in some gaps or get an idea, maybe that's all right. But this is a great use of Wikipedia. I'm going to show you this page where they compare citation management softwares. This has been handy for me in the past when students have asked me, oh, hey, do you know about this one? And I don't, you'll see it's a huge list. There are a lot of different citation management softwares out there. And what I like about this list is that it'll show you which ones are free. I mean, why pay for what you can get for free? And honestly, I feel like this list changes just all the time. Some of these are really new. I'm not familiar with BibDesk. That just came out this year, or I guess it had a stability. I guess that one has been around for a while, since 2002. I've never used that one. So all kinds, so many that you can choose from. The big ones that most people have heard of are EndNote. There is a paid version. It's very expensive. I really don't want to say, sure, check it out if you don't know that you would like it. They used to have a basic version that you could get for free. And I believe that is still available. It has it over here. The web version, EndNote Basic, is free of charge. So just like anything on Wikipedia, it's just regular people who update this, and some of this might not be correct, or it might not be the most up to date. You can just click through and see if that's still the case for any of these. Mendeley is not free. There's a proprietary version. You can get a free online account for it. So it's not going to be everything that you would get through the paid version. RefWorks is also pretty well known, again, not a free one. But Zotero, I guess the other reason I really like it is because it's been around for a while. It's been around since 2006. It's free, and there is no paid version. So I'm not missing out on anything by using Zotero. It's free. It's been free for a really long time. And so I've had access to it, throughout my schooling, going back to school, stopping, going back to school somewhere else, those things that happen in life. It's always been there for me. So I really do like using Zotero. But this is again just a really nice place to go if you just want to check out some of these, see what is available for free. If anybody wants to try one of these and report back to your campus librarian, hey, I used JabRef and I really liked it, whatever. That would be helpful information to have. There's just so many of them. So to get started, I am gonna head back to my slides and make sure I'm on track here. And then I'm gonna go into my Zotero demonstration. So I've got it laid out on this slide. That's why I wanted to get back to it. That this is, again, it's free and it's cloud-based. So what I mean when I say, oh, it's always been there for me, I could always go back to it. It's not something that just lives on my personal device. It is something that I can download and log into and then get it on a new computer. Or if I, have a device change, I can put it on my new device now and it's still there. Everything I've saved into it is still there. It does require a plugin for your internet browser. So I'm going to show you kind of all the things I have on my computer that make this work for me when I'm doing this demonstration. And I'm going to demonstrate how it works with Word and also in Google Docs. It's the same functions. It just, depending on where you are, it's going to be in a different place between Microsoft Word or Google Docs. So let me get started by showing you what I did when I thought, I need to get Zotero on here. I just started with Googling Zotero, and I did already have a login. So I was able to click login and have all of my old information there still. If you don't have a login, you're just getting started, what you're going to want to do is click download. I already have it downloaded, so I'm not going to show you that. If you have issues with that, if you decide to try this and you run into any problems with the download, that's a question that a librarian could help you with. So you click download, it installs it actually on your device. So obviously I'm on my work computer, or maybe not obviously, but I'm on my work computer. And so I'm gonna actually leave this for a moment and show you it lives here on my desktop. So I hit the download and then I had it right here. I'm gonna open it back up. I haven't been in there in a few days. And every time I open it, it's going to bring me straight to what I've set up in my library. You can create different folders. It's similar to a lot of different software we're used to. I can create different folders. So if I had another paper I was starting, I'm going to do a new, click down here. I'm just right clicking. Oops. I could do a new sub collection, and this is paper 2. I don't even know what it's going to be about yet. And I can move those folders wherever I need to. So I've got this folder for info lit, and I have already saved 4 resources in there. So how did I get them in there? Well, this is where that Chrome plugin enters the stage. Going back to here, I've already gotten the download. Zotero lives on my desktop. I was able to open it just from right here, and it's showing me what I've already got. If I go back to Chrome, I would have come down here. This is a great example of somebody who's got a lot more citations in there than I do. And they've got a lot of other folders set up. So it's a nice little screenshot. You can see how they have it set up. And we've got other information there. think it's because I am not actually clicking on the download. Let me go ahead and click on it. And it should show me all the different things I need. There it is. So this is what I've already downloaded, and then I got the connector. So that Google Chrome happens to be the browser that I'm using, and that is where the browser that you can get the Zotero connector for. So whenever I'm in Chrome, let's say I do some other search here. I'll stick with my topic, information literacy. Anything I click on, I have something up in my toolbar you don't see if you don't have that Zotero connector. Do you see this little page up here? If I click on that, it says, when I hover, it says save to Zotero. If I click on it, it is automatically saving it into that folder because that's the folder that I was currently in when I had Zotero open, and it is where I wanted it. So that's nice. I could change it there if I wanted to, but that is where I want it. And now it's saved it in there. So let's go back to Zotero. And sure enough, now I've got 5 things saved in there. So it grabbed it all for me. This is where I make that warning again, that the citations it's going to make for me are only as good as what it could grab from that website that I want to cite. So if there were any issues here, we've got, all this extra information in this. This is more than just the title. I'm going to actually take this off. So when I click on a resource, what you saw me do, I then clicked over here on the right, and I was able to edit the information. So that's really important to know. Some of the other generators and other software make it a little bit more difficult to fix problems like that. What I also like is that I can go over here. This is similar to Noodle Tools. I can make notes. Same thing like old-fashioned paper note cards. I could add notes, maybe give a summary in my own words of what that article is saying. I could maybe, talk about some themes I'm seeing in that, and then I could go to my next source after I've read it, add notes there, similar theme to draw those comparisons, keep notes on what I'm thinking as I'm reading these resources. That's going to help me put my ideas together later. So I've got several things in here. I know that was a really quick demonstration of how to get something into Zotero, the citation and the source itself. But just know that you do need to be in Chrome, and you need that connector so that Chrome can talk to Zotero that you downloaded onto your computer and put that information into Zotero for you. It's the same thing if I was, let's say, in a library resource. Let me just hop in here, do a quick search. You'll notice I've still got my little connector up here. I'm on just this web page. I would want to go into a specific article, and now I can grab that citation into my Zotero. Let's go ahead and do that. And now go back to Zotero and make sure it's there. Yep, looks like it's this one. And everything looks okay. So again, I would just want to go through, make sure there's no strange information I don't need for the citation. It does pull in the abstract, so that's nice. Maybe time to go to class, and then I'm going to come back to this in several hours. Why did I put this article in here? Oh yeah, I can just see the abstract and remind myself why I chose this one. I can delete things. You're not stuck with these. You can, everything that you would expect it to do, add, delete, edit what it's pulled in, keep your notes. Really helpful if you are having to use many resources to cite in a paper. So let's say this is plenty. I know these are the articles I'm going to use. I'm ready to start putting everything together, either in Word or in Google Docs. So that's that third thing I would need to download onto my device. And it is in the plugins. So I'm still on that download page where I could get it onto the computer, connected to Chrome, and now I need a plugin so that it can talk to Word. So let's see if it's where I remember it being. If I can't find it, what always works for me is, here it is, word processor and writing integration. You can also just Google Zotero word plugin and it'll maybe be a little bit easier to find, but this one explains Zotero word processor plugins. It will let you cite items from your Zotero library into Word if you use LibreOffice and Google Docs. So I just need that one plugin for both Word and Google Docs. So I clicked on that and then I downloaded that plugin, which is why, as I've already shown you, I have Zotero as an option here in my Google Docs. And if I go back to Word, I have Zotero listed here. I'm going to demonstrate this in Word first. So this is the whole, wow, she's been talking for 25 minutes about this and I don't even know what it's going to do for me. Here's where you're going to see what it does. So let's say I paraphrased an article and I know which author it was. Blah, 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 in their article, blah, 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 blah. I've got that information in. I'm ready to add that citation. So I click on that. Yes, I do want it in APA. It's going to just double check that for me. So maybe in one class I'm using one style. I can switch to another for a different paper. And now it pulls up this red search box with that Z for Zotero. And I know the author's name was Carmi. Yep, this was the article. That matches what I have saved in my actual Zotero. Click that again because I left it. So I want that. I'm ready to add the citation. Here's the correct article that I just paraphrased. I click on it. I hit enter. Oh, it does that sometimes. Oh, I love it. It was when it makes a fool out of me. It put a whole bunch of other things in there I don't need. But you'll notice the important part is here. And that's the in-text citation where I have to say, I got this idea from that person. I'm just going to take all that out and I'm going to really hope that in my next one, it's going to behave for me. So now I'm quoting someone, quoting article, and I'm ready to do another citation. And this time it was, who am I citing this time? I'm citing Dobrun, D-O-B-R, this one. Hit enter. Yay, it did it. It did it nice and neat for me that time. So I've cited these two people. I might go in and add more citations. Let's get at least a few more in here to remember what people's names start with. Let's see, I've got this one, Jones. We'll put in Jones. And enter. All right. So let's say I've got my whole paper written and I've got all my in-text citations where I've cited these people, where I've used their ideas, I've quoted them, paraphrased them, whatever, throughout. Pretend these are just paragraph after paragraph of paper. And now I'm ready to get my works cited at the very end. I'm going to go down to a new page. Go back to my home tab. I want this centered so I can put works cited. And now I can't remember who all did I cite. I don't remember. I don't need to remember. I can just go back to my Zotero tab and I want to edit or add the bibliography. I click that and it knows already for me who I cited in this paper. And it maybe missed that first one. It did miss that first one because I had that issue with it. But you'll notice it already put them in alphabetical order for me. So I've got my authors in alphabetical order and it knows who I cited and it built those citations. I didn't have to copy paste it from anywhere. It just did it for me. Again, that warning, you do need to make sure that it has done this correctly, that there's no typos, that it didn't make any mistakes, because it is just a software program, but everything looks decent to me. If I then needed to add to my paper, maybe that was a rough draft. I go back, let's fix this because that's going to bother me. Let's go back, or maybe I'd forgotten to cite this person. Let's add that citation back in. And then I would just do that over again. I would just delete it all. Oh, you know what? It added it already for me. I don't think I've even ever had that happen where I needed to add something back in, but that's very good to know. So when I added in a new citation, maybe this is my second draft, I'm adding in this person, it put it in the right place, again, in alphabetical order. So I've got my authors in alphabetical order, and I've got everything that I cited in the paper above, everything that I gave an in-text citation for is now right there. I want to pause and see if there are questions. I'm seeing a number on the chat, but I haven't looked at it. I want to know if we have any questions I can answer right now.
No questions have come in, but we are very excited to see the software at work.
Awesome, wonderful. Let me just reiterate a few things that no matter what you use, again, it's just a computer program. You still need to correct any citation issues. We've all seen it, sometimes even in our library databases where maybe the entire title was entered in all caps. You would have to go in and manually fix that. It will let you take notes and organize your thoughts right there inside Zotero, or these other types of citation management software will also let you do that. I haven't really talked so much about backup your work. And maybe that doesn't seem entirely relevant, but I think that's the real power and draw for many people, is that because citation management software, most of it's on the cloud. Again, I could get a new device and then just install Zotero on that and log in, and all my information is still going to be there. That's a really powerful draw, that I don't have to worry about losing all of these articles. If I had just saved them into a folder that lived on my computer and then my computer died, well, now I don't have them. Of course, you can also save things into Google Drive. I know many students do that. They'll save articles, the full text PDF, into their Google Drive so they can access it anywhere. That's a great idea. So really my point in including that in this webinar is, even if you decide this is not for me, this seems really complicated, I only need to cite a few sources in each paper I write typically, this is overkill. Sure, that may absolutely be the case. But if you get anything out of this, it's that you do need to have a system where you are backing up the things that you're going to cite and your own work. It's happened to all of us, I think, as librarians, where we've had just, inconsolable students who have lost things. It's terrible. There's nothing we can do usually. I can't get back everything from your computer that died or got run over by a truck or whatever, you name it, I've heard it. And so just back things up. Don't let that be you. Don't put yourself in that position. So this will do it for you. If you're not going to use a citation management software, I've got an example over here of a Google Doc. And then I know I could access this Google Doc anywhere from any place that has an internet connection. Although that being said, our internet went down on the Indianapolis campus for a little bit today. So I couldn't get anything done because I save everything to the cloud.
Yeah, I think we had the same experience this morning.
You did? Okay, so it was probably system-wide. But that doesn't mean not to back it up to the cloud, have things saved on your device and to the cloud. I'm also a big fan of emailing things to myself. So I know if I can get into my email, I can get to whatever it is I need to access. So that's just a good takeaway, regardless whether you decide to use something like this or not.
I do have one question.
Sure.
Will this do the same thing for ebooks or in textbooks?
Yes. So you'll just need to use your mind again for that. You could Google the name of the book and then grab that citation information using that Zotero connector with Chrome. You can also manually add citation information. So if you don't want to go that way, I could click this plus for a new item and say, let's say I'm only citing a chapter from that book. I can do book section, and then it just gives me all those blank fields. I just fill it in myself. So if it's a book you've already got in front of you, that might just be easier to type it all in, then you know it's all correct. Or you can also just find any record of that book online and it'll grab the information. Same thing with ebooks. If you're accessing them through our catalog and you've got, if you're going through the Ivy Tech library, you're in an ebook and you've got that Zotero connector in Chrome, it'll be able to grab that information. You might need to tweak it. It might think it is going to make a citation for the entire book when, again, maybe you're only citing a chapter from it. So you'll have to go in and edit and manipulate that within Zotero. Great question.
One more here.
Sure.
Can you share a file with faculty?
Can you share a file with faculty? That's a new one to me. Let's see. What can we do in that regard? That is a wonderful question. That actually takes me right back to this last bullet point, that this is how I've learned everything I know. I haven't read a whole book on Zotero or citation management software. I get a vague idea of what things can do. Then I just go and Google it. So honestly, what I would do is I would say Zotero file share to maybe a non-user. So maybe they don't have a Zotero account. Best configuration for non-users. I would look through this and try to figure it out, reading some of their help things. The great thing about it being open source or free, other people who use Zotero help each other out and give each other information on how to do whatever it is they're trying to do. So, yep, this one, it does have sharing library with individuals. So it looks like that is possible. I've never done it. So I don't know if that person would also have to have an account. But you could also always, if you just wanted to provide the list of you could theoretically just make a blank Word document where you actually aren't writing your paper, but you're just putting those citations in one by one, and then have it make that whole bibliography for you. Even if you're not, writing the content there. So I hope that helps, but I'm glad somebody asked something I didn't know, because that is my trick for pretty much everything. If you have an idea of what it might be able to do, Google is your friend, and that's a wonderful thing to come and ask in a one-on-one session with a librarian, or if you want to send that through email and we can dig a little deeper and figure out what the steps would be to make that work. But that's why we're here, to help you problem solve, whether it's citation management software or anything else. I'm also not an expert in, all things Google Drive, but I have a vague sense of what it can and should be able to do. And then I just Google it and it tells me what to do. before we go, or before I take any last questions, I did want to just, prove that it does work here in Google Docs too. So same thing, I would go up to this Zotero. I'm going to add the citation. It's being a little slow for me, so I'm actually not sure that it is going to work because it was doing this earlier today too. And I wasn't sure if it was our internet issue or if it's just being very slow. This has happened with me in the past with Google Docs with some things. It just takes forever. So we won't let it hang. I'm afraid it's actually going to make everything slow. So I'm going to close that tab completely, but it does work. Sorry, I couldn't prove that. It's very similar to what happens in Word. You add the citations in the body of your paper, and then you can add the entire bibliography or works cited at the end.
Do we have any last questions? We're almost out of time for today.
I have one more question for you all, if you don't have another question for me. So if you want, you can answer this. If you want to use your phone, you can use that QR code. Or again, the link that was in the chat at the beginning. And if you want to just answer it in chat, if it's asking you to verify that you're an Ivy Tech person, you don't want to. I am just curious if after this, people are considering using citation management software. If this has made you realize no, or maybe you're curious about it, but you would need some help getting started. Just kind of where you are on that. And I'll go to the question I'm asking you and see it looks like some people are answering. So confident and ready to explore is the option a lot of you are choosing, which is wonderful. Totally okay if you're not sure about it. It's not for everyone, and I completely understand that. So I really like the note-taking feature. Again, look for other webinars and information about Noodle tools if that seemed more appealing to you, because I think it is kind of a happy medium.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
You may have covered this, but I was kind of playing with trying to download it and everything at the same time. But can you group your citations under like a file name or a paper name to not like have all of your citations you need in a row? Can they be like grouped under a work?
Yeah. Let me go back to Zotero.
You may have covered that, but.
So you can make different folders. I was clicking in the wrong thing. I would go to my library and then new collection. So they call them collections instead of folders. Let's say paper 2 there. And then if I have, maybe different themes, this is what I was doing wrong before. I would right click on that collection that I want it in, and I can do a sub collection. So maybe this is the theme of fake news. So I want to organize them by, thematically what I'm seeing in those.
Oh yeah, so potentially you could even organize citations within the paper, the first 2 pages have such and such, you know what I mean? Like paragraph headings or something like that.
Oh, for sure. If you want to remember what you want to put where, that's a great idea.
Thank you for your answer.
Oh, sure. Thank you, because, I hadn't really thought of explaining it that way. Now I'm going to steal that. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, yes.
Any final questions? Oh, there's something from Molly, but that seems more complicated there. Like, how do I organize multiple cards for Noodle tools? The same reference in Zotero. 10 bits of information from one source.
Okay, sure. I would say that's a great question to ask one-on-one with a librarian to dive into more of the nitty-gritty of Noodle tools. And definitely look for that upcoming webinar that's going to be focused on Noodle tools.
Yeah, Molly, if you're around in the fall, we should have something for you then. If you need your information before that, just contact the library. We can sort of work through it together.
And how you would do that in Zotero, a little bit different. So let's say it's all from this source. It looks like I could just then add another note. And I could go through, like, so here's maybe my themes. And then I'm done with that. I go back to reading it, go back there. I've got 2 different notes now. So I could just keep adding however many notes. I don't know that it cuts you off. That's a great idea too. If you know you're going to take different things from one source, this fits this theme and that theme. You could organize it that way. I love that people are seemingly enthusiastic about organization. So
I think we're about out of time.
all right.
Thank you all for attending today. And yeah, watch your Ivy Learn announcements for those future library sessions. We have one coming up in 2 days. So on Thursday about Google Scholar, and Aaron will be back then. And remember to contact us with any questions. Use your Ask a Librarian service. Give us a phone call. Just come into the library and talk to us. We're always here to help you. We'll see you around the library. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.